What is up, Unity community, and welcome back to another official Unity live stream here on twitch.tv/Unity and, of course, the official Unity YouTube page. My name is Jackson, and I am one of your community managers. It is my responsibility to bring you the latest and greatest in live stream content, whether you're looking to get better at using Unity or learning to get better as a dev in general. We are going to be bringing you plenty of content Thursdays and Tuesdays throughout the next few months to make sure that we give you guys all a place to come and hang out and learn just a little bit more. But thank you so very much for joining us. If you are watching live on Twitch and YouTube, please be aware that this is a conversation. We will get you many opportunities to ask questions of our guests. Feel free. We will try to find an opportunity to ask these questions. So again, wherever you're tuning in from, thank you again so much for being here. We've got names from all over the world that we can already see. Often we ask where in the world you're tuning in from. What I'd love to hear from you all today is what's a game you've been playing lately? That being said, we've got a fantastic show planned for you all. Today we are being joined by James and Sarah from PikPok, all the way out in New Zealand, and they are going to be talking to us about zombie AI, designing and creating zombie AI. They, of course, have worked on a game called Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, which we will talk a little bit more about and give you all an opportunity to win a key. We, of course, are giving away 5 copies of the game later in the stream, so stick around for that. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them throughout the show. If we can find an opportunity, we will make sure to pass them along. However, we will have a dedicated Q&A section towards the end if we've got any leftover questions. So please feel free to keep the chat lively. Be great to each other like I know that you can in this Unity community. I do want to thank everybody, of course, who is joining us from the PikPok community, from fans of Into the Dead, from the PikPok account themselves. If you have any questions about the games, and if we might not be able to get to an answer quick enough, you will likely be able to get answers straight from the source in the chat. So if you are watching this as a VOD after the fact, please take a look down at that navigation bar as we will have it conveniently chaptered for you. You can skip ahead to whatever portion of this stream that you would like to see. As today, we're going to be going through a little bit of what Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is all about. Then we're going to be probably just waxing poetic about zombies for a little while, if we're being honest. We'll be talking about designing zombie brains, pun, and then diving into zombie AI and talking about Unity-made AI tools as well. So lots to look forward to. Jump around wherever you feel like you might need. And with that, I think it's about time we welcome our guests. First time guests to the stream, so please be extra excellent to them. Please welcome to the stream both Sarah and James. Welcome on in, you two. How are you? Again, if you have muted yourselves, we will need you to unmute yourselves as well.
I had not muted myself, but
I
I
had
have
not.
muted myself now.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
No problem at all. How are you? How are you both?
Great. Yeah, it's still kind of early here. It's like 9 a.m. So
I was going to
still waking up.
It is 9 a.m. I want to thank you guys for joining us very early because normally on my end, I'm in at about 9 a.m. and I'm usually the morning person. We've pushed this back. We've done a stream once in this time slot as well as we hung out with the team from Dredge, also from New Zealand. So not the first time, but always exciting to kind of change up the schedule a little bit. Keep everybody on their toes. Keep everyone on their toes a little bit. A big part of what we get to do with these live streams is not just talk about the work and the technical side and the games, but also kind of let people get to know our guests just a little bit. So thank you again, both for coming to hang out. But in an effort to get to know you, Sarah, let's get started with you. Can you tell us what you do at PikPok, how long you've been there, and then maybe, and I always bring this up as if it's a really simple question, and it never actually is, but like, what's your favorite game?
That's an extremely easy question for me, but I'll get to that. Yeah, hey, I'm Sarah. I'm a senior programmer at PikPok in Wellington, New Zealand. I've been at PikPok for, I think, like 7 or 8 years. It was my first like real job out of university, like the day that I finished my last exam, I saw the job opening and I applied, and obviously I got it, which is amazing. Yeah. What was the next question?
What do you do there at PikPok?
What I do, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a senior programmer. I've worked on a few different titles. My first one was Into the Dead 2, same franchise as this game. It's a mobile runner game. Then I worked on Agent Intercept, which is we made it for Apple Arcade. It's like a premium mobile game where you're a transforming spy car shooting stuff, zooming around. And then for the last sort of 3.5 years, I've been working on Into the Dead Our Darkest Days, primarily focusing on zombie AI.
It makes me so happy to hear. Sarah, before I tell the anecdote of how we ended up here, can you tell us your favorite game?
I would love to. So I'm obsessed with the Mass Effect trilogy.
Okay.
I have over 1,000 hours in it. I've done many playthroughs, and asking me to pick one of them is like asking me to pick a favorite child. But that said, it is Mass Effect 2.
It's very reminiscent of real life in that nobody has a favorite child, but they do. You know what I mean? Everyone has a favorite child.
I love that you said it's the trilogy. Andromeda
doesn't count.
We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about
that one.
It gets a little flagged. There are some really good aspects to it. The combat is very good.
It is one of my heaviest badges of shame that I carry that I have never played a Mass Effect game. I know. Also developed in my neck of the woods over here in Western Canada. So I need to support Canadian. I need to do better. I think that's on me.
Hey, the remaster came out a couple of years ago. I took a week off of work to,
to
play it when it came out. Yeah.
Shout out to PikPok for giving you that freedom. You know what I mean? To pursue your passions.
Absolutely.
I like it a lot. So you mentioned that you manage a lot of the zombie AI, which is great. And we told this story really briefly, but coming into this, we were like, okay, we're going to work with PikPok on the team from Into the Dead. What are we going to talk about? Like, what do we want to cover? And it's kind of this initial conversation that we have. I love zombies. I love zombie movies, shows, games, all of it. And I come in with like a short list because like I'd love you guys to really dictate what you want to talk about, what you want to brag about, like whatever you guys think is best. That's what I want to, facilitate. And I came in with my short list. Like I was like, maybe I'll just get on to talk about like zombie AI or something. That would be really fun for me personally. And then I was like, so what do you guys think? And the first one on the list was, well, we could talk about zombie AI. I was like, say no more. No more lists. This is it. We'll just go with that one. We got it in one. So I'm very, very excited. I hope other people are as well. And Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
James, I have very exciting news for you. As we talked about it just before we started this stream, it appears that your sister is in the chat and is judging the hairstyle you selected. And I just want you to know, it's one of my favorite dynamics of any chat interaction of any stream that we've had so far.
That does sound like her. Yeah, no, I saw her like 2 weeks ago and I said like, oh, this is how I'm doing my hair now. And she's like, just don't do that.
Well, James, in an effort to get to know you a little bit as well, how long have you been at PikPok? What do you do here? And what is your favorite game?
So I'm a senior game designer at PikPok. I've been here, I think I just hit 7 years.
Wow.
And I worked on a few things. I also worked on Into the Dead 2. I worked on a similar vibe game to this. I worked on Rival Stars Horse Racing, a grim, dark racing game. You take the horse. No, it's very light. It's very sweet. And it was a real tone shift coming onto this game. But I appreciate it. So on Into the Dead Darkest Days, I'm mostly doing system design. A little dabbling in level design, but mostly system design. And I've been the person looking the most at zombie AI from the design side.
Yes.
Which is why I'm here today.
He's my buddy.
Perfect.
Yes.
I am curious to dive a little more into like the back and forth between you guys in terms of like the workflow. I think we touched on it. We did a stream earlier in the week with the team behind Phasmophobia, and we touched on it really briefly. It was actually our guest Ben from Kinetic Studios that said it's so rare that people have access to how their favorite games are made and what's actually going on behind the scenes. And that's cool as a consumer, but as an aspiring game dev, it's also this opportunity to really see how things are done in a way to inspire you and help like your pursuit of excellence within the field. So I think it's so fun to have you guys here to kind of open this up and chat with some people about it as well. James, before we move away from it, we need to know, what is your favorite game?
Yes, I don't have a favorite game. It's not as simple to answer that question. So I adore everything that Naughty Dog has ever made. I love it all. I really loved Outer Wilds when I played it. I played it a couple times, and yeah, I think I guess I have a nostalgia sweet spot for Kingdom Hearts.
Nice.
But yeah, I can't recommend it to everyone, but I love it. Yeah.
No, I'm right there with you. I never played it, but I have like a very personal tie to Disney, and I was forced into playing it. And diving in at number 3 was a mistake. I can tell you that. I didn't know what was going on, James. I was so confused.
Well, actually, playing the previous 2 will not change anything.
It doesn't make it any clearer.
No.
No, I think it's a good answer. I think it's a it's a great answer. But awesome. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm really excited. And I do have to call out that you both have excellent active living backgrounds. So shout out to the tech team over at PikPok as well that was working. Sarah, when you joined and you had zombies shambling behind you, I was beside myself. I was so excited. And James has them outside the window on occasion, which is awesome. So good. So again, later in the show, Unity community, you get to look forward to learning about zombie design, AI, and then also the Unity made toolkit that the team uses here. But I do want to talk a little bit about Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, speaking relatively generally. But if there's anyone in the audience who is not familiar with the property yet, we're going to roll the trailer so that everyone gets a little bit of a taste and kind of informs the following discussion. So with that, we will roll our trailer. See you in a sec. And we are back. Very cool trailer. Sets the tone incredibly well. If I'm not mistaken, was this game announced at Summer Game Fest last year initially? Was there knowledge about that ahead of time? I feel like I have a distinct memory myself of watching it and being like, oh, shoot, and adding it to my own personal little list from it. So either way, I've been excited about this game for a long time. I did not know that it was part of a series, and you guys both said that you worked on the second one. Can you let people know a little bit about how this series has evolved over time?
Yeah, James, do you want to take it? You're a designer.
Sure. I mean, this is a really big change. The previous 2 games were mobile to start off, and it was like a sort of a run and gun, like you're just kind of going forward, dodging zombies, shooting them. So this was a really big difference. But we wanted to, I think the idea behind it was we wanted to see like, what else can we do in this universe? What else can we, like, what kind of stories can we tell? Can we kind of like, and try and create a new kind of, I suppose, way to play the game that can tell these more in-depth stories. That was part of it. Those decisions made way above my pay grade, but I just get to design it.
Yeah, which is always exciting in itself. I've seen a couple of comparison, I think, in Steam reviews of the early access, which there will be an early access update releasing on May 27th. So everybody keep an eye out for that. We're going to continue to post links to both the Steam page and to the Into the Dead official website in the chat. So keep an eye out and stick around to later in the show when we'll be giving away 5 copies. That being said, some of the reviews make comparison to similar zombie games, right? The zombie genre is well treaded, and for good reason, because they're excellent, almost every single one of them. The comparison that I saw a couple of times was State of Decay. Not necessarily was that an inspiration, but how do you guys feel about wearing inspirations on your sleeve in terms of game design in general? Is it something that you enjoy seeing your work being compared to these other games? Do you hope that it stands alone? What are your kind of thoughts on that, just from a game design perspective?
I'm okay with it as long as people who are nice. They're like, it's like this. Fuck yeah. Oh, I don't know if I can swear on this.
Well, we did, so it's fine now.
It's like this. Hell yeah. Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yes. No, and State of Decay, the team played it. We really liked it, and so it's cool to see that influence coming through. We tried to take many different influences and kind of bring them all together into one game. Yeah, as long as people are nice, I'm happy.
Yeah, there are a lot of different games that we sort of, we call them reference titles, that we researched, I guess, particularly early on in the prototyping phase. Obviously, there are some similarities to this War of Mine being a 2.5D survival game. So I've played a whole lot of that. State of Decay, Project Zomboid. What else am I forgetting, James?
Dead of Winter and...
oh, yeah.
Board game?
Yeah. I ran a lot of Dead of Winter games. It's probably my favorite board game, actually.
Okay.
You were the one that ran everyone through them. You were. Like
I was the only one who knew all the rules.
You were like game master. You were like, guys, we're making a zombie game. You're gonna come sit down and play board games with me.
Yeah,
I like it.
And
I have a big copy of Zombicide board game in the next room, just to again reiterate my zombie cred here.
My favorite thing in Dead of Winter is that there's a dog character called Sparky, and you can give him a gun.
Whoa!
He can snipe zombies across the map if you're lucky. Yeah,
that's incredible. Especially because everything I've seen from the B-roll, the gameplay, the trailer is all like grounded in tension, and it feels very palpable and real. But you're also telling me that you can give the dog a gun. So now I don't know. This is changing things in my mind. It's really shifting my view of it, but not in a bad way, I'll say. It is interesting that you mentioned kind of those influences as well. Super Tech Boy in chat, as just before you mentioned, said that the style reminds me of this War of Mine with zombies. So that is very, very cool. Again, there's so much zombie fiction and media in the world. Trying to put your own spin on it must be a very, very exciting prospect. I am really excited to play this game myself. How much hands-on do you both have being on the game team? Now that early access is out, are you playing it along with the community? Are you like, we've put in our time, we've already done that? Like, what does it look like for you in terms of actually engaging in this world?
It's tricky because we're obviously constantly developing it, and it's constantly evolving. So you can play the game one day at work, and then in a week it's got some completely different spin on it. But we do, I mean, every week on a Friday we have a team play the build, where we play and see what's new, and we have like a monthly, I think, play the build afternoon. But also some of us have played it in our spare time. Or we also have a monthly lab day at the company where everyone just gets to kind of work on personal projects, or
wow, that's awesome.
do pretty much whatever, as long as it's could be considered relevant to work. So yeah, I spent the last lab day just playing through the game, and I had a blast, which is amazing because I've been working on this for like 3.5 years and I'm not sick of it yet. So it's a good sign, I think.
I was going to say that sounds like a very good sign. James, anything to add in terms of your own engagement with the game?
Yeah, I mean, as Sarah said, a lot of it, but and it's always trying to make a balance, right? Like, especially in design, like you got to play the game to know that it feels right, but then you also got to put in time to make new stuff. Like, we want to get new things out there for the community to have. But yeah, it's always fun, especially when you can get surprised by something like, oh my god, I didn't know this was in our game. Like, this is awesome. Yeah.
I like it a lot. And again, it's got to be exciting to kind of have this early access period out there. Do you have a sense of the community reaction, the community growth? I know that people were already in a tight-knit community based on the pre-existing titles in this game. What's that reception been like? Are you guys getting that information on your levels?
I mean, we get a daily update of how the review scores are looking. We love to see the number go up. I think our all-time review score on Steam is like 86%, and our recent reviews last 30 days, yesterday I was sitting at 90. I don't know if that's changed overnight at all. Yeah, which is, I think we're pretty happy with.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a good spot to be, especially as an early access title, right? Once you guys get the full release out there, and, you know, continue to engage with fans. I'm curious to see how that shifts. It's always interesting from a community management perspective, what impact that has. Sorry, I'm also laughing because there's a side conversation happening in the Twitch chat about the gun dog, as they've now been titled, I guess, which is always, I mean, that put that on the box, right? That's going to move copies for sure.
Yeah. One other thing that's been amazing is we've got a Discord for the game, and there are people in there making fan art and just getting excited about the game, which is so amazing, because you don't get so much of that with mobile games. I feel like people are a bit more isolated in mobile games. It's just something they do, you know, while they're on the bus or whatever. But you know, with a PC game, it's a bit more engaging, and people get a bit more excited about it, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's also a little bit of that a PC game just lends itself more to a bit of a social dynamic. Like, my previous job was a community manager on a mobile game as well. And the level of passion and engagement is there, but it's just hard to get people in a room together to be able to discuss it. And I just feel like it flows so much more naturally once it's in PC. So very cool to see that you guys have essentially fans of a series that's been running for years finally making the switch into a new medium and getting to play this as it comes out in early access. Is there anything that stands out in either of your minds as like your favorite contribution to this game, to this series, to the genre? Again, I keep talking about how there's a lot of zombie media. What stands out in your mind about this game that makes it unique?
I guess we're really trying to make like a very like personal story, but one that the player can kind of control. Like there's like the Last of Us out there's like that. It's a really in-depth story in the zombie media, but we're trying to make something that like is part authored but part dynamic, like that you can kind of go out and like, oh my god, this happened on this run, like that was wild, like, and you know, again, it comes back to the community that you can be like, did anyone else have that, and be like, no, like, yes, I did have that. So I think that's what we're trying to make, like dynamic but still emotional, hard-hitting stories. Yep.
For me, and this is kind of maybe superficial, but I love how much color is in the game visually. So many zombie games and apocalyptic games are really bleak, but this really takes on, you know, it's set in 1980 and it takes on all the color that brings, being right at the end of the 70s. I just think it's visually really beautiful, and I love that.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that immensely. I don't want to spend too much on this in general, but I do want to talk to you guys just about zombies and just kind of broadly speaking. And again, I don't want to spend too much on it, but in your opinions here, let's go through some of the basics. Should all zombies be slow? Are fast zombies still zombies? Some of the biggest questions that the internet has to ask. Fast or slow zombies? Do you guys have a preference?
I think a mix. You got to have a mix to keep things exciting, right? Let your guard down, and then suddenly someone rushes at you. I think that's quite a cool experience.
So we're definitely talking like a video, because if it's like in real life.
In real life, definitely slow.
Then you want what's happened is it's slow zombies, like I sleep. Fast zombies, you know.
Yep. We do have our producer in the chat that says once a zombie is fast, it should be called infected instead, which, like, I don't mind that as like a guiding philosophy, but I don't know. I think there's space in the genre for all zombies. You know what I mean?
I think that the naming of zombies, especially in world, is a really fun one, because everyone's got their like, oh, they're walkers, they're shamblers, they're you know, they're runners, they're this, they're that, you know, and like, everyone's got to have a new one. I liked our internal name for them, my internal name for them, Z-bags. but not everyone liked that one.
I was going to say,
Sure they
Sarah, did this catch on, or was this just a James thing?
No, this is a few people. It
There
might
you go.
mostly be me and James.
Okay,
But
the two of you.
people know what we're talking about, and that's the main thing.
Sure. I like it a lot. So then, is there a gold standard in terms of zombies? Like we talked about The Last of Us with its hard-hitting emotional narrative, which is hard to accomplish in a genre that largely just became about doom and gloom and run and gun and blood and gore. But outside of games, is there a movie or a TV show that you think does it better than the rest? And might I offer up Warm Bodies, which is basically Twilight for zombies.
Oh,
and
that sounds amazing.
Peak cinema. It's actually not that good. It's not that good. Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that's a good one.
Shaun of the Dead
is my
so
personal
good.
favorite film of all time. Not just favorite zombie film, my favorite film of all time. So I don't know. I don't want to sway your guys' opinion on this one, but I'm curious to
I
hear.
feel like if you're going for scary, like you got to go the 28 days, 28 months, and hopefully as well, really good 28 years that's coming up. Definitely gonna be watching that one. Yeah, it spooked the hell out of me.
The trailer looks really intense. The trailer looks really intense. Sarah, anything on your end? Anyone that stands out?
I haven't watched a lot of zombie films, which now that I'm saying it out loud seems very strange. A lot of zombie games, not a lot of zombie films. So that's maybe I'll watch something when I go home tonight.
Shaun of the Dead needs to be on
Shaun of the Dead I've definitely seen. That's if it's a comedy horror movie, I've probably seen it. But I never used to like horror actually. It's only in the last few years that I've gotten into it. I was a little bit more sensitive to gore back then, but I'm gradually I'm getting there.
Yeah. Sensitive to gore, works on zombie games. It checks out. 28 days later, Shaun of the Dead, if you were like, no, I've never seen it, we would have been like, excuse me, we'll pause, we'll come back in a couple hours, we'll see you when you're done with that one.
That would be the right call.
Yeah. Producer Jack also calling out World War Z, the book, not the movie, or World War Z, as we say in my part. It doesn't sound as good, but that's what we say. The book, short stories, also excellent. So can confirm. And with that, guys, I feel like we've done enough. I thank you for indulging me in talking about zombies. I do want to talk more about the work that you all do. And you work so very hard, and you were so very willing to bring that to us in the Unity community here, talking about how you guys have accomplished these things and hopefully to inspire people to use the information to further their own development in terms of games. So, James, let's hand things over to you here and just kind of talking about designing zombie brains. You have a slide, I believe.
Yeah, I do have some slides. There they are. Yeah, I'll talk about zombie brains and the design side. I think this is a really interesting system to talk about because it's basically never done. It's one of the earliest systems that go into the game, and it's going to be worked on right up into hard launch and probably beyond. We're always looking at AI behavior, thinking how we can make it better. Where's the jank? Are they doing what we expect them to do? And more importantly, are they doing what the player expects them to do? Yeah, so very happy to talk about them and just kind of talk about the process that we took from the start and up into where we are. Yeah. So before I joined the project, the team had already made a prototype of the game. This was just to make sure that it was fun, first off, and it wasn't just a concept that was only up in our heads, that it actually worked, that the game loop felt solid. And this obviously had zombies. They could walk around, they could sense the player, they could chase them down and attack them. You can see one right there. And these would work to give the team like a feel for what the different player verbs we needed, like to get around these threats, being able to hide and cover, throwing distractions, attacking. Yeah, you can see, for those of you that have played the game, it looks kind of similar. There's some differences for sure, but yeah, this was sort of just quick and dirty, get something in, and just to see what is there. But after pre-production, when we had to actually make this thing, all of this, except for the design insights, was pretty much thrown out. And the first iteration was pretty much just Sarah off on her lonesome. recreating what was in the prototype, but good code. Something can actually be extended and is not going to like destroy our lives working on. So thank you, Sarah, for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. And so these started off fairly basic. It's about just sensing where the player is and pathfinding over, before it was just doing that before even having any attacks or stuff like that.
Notice the little spin it does when it gets to the top of the stairs. That was actually a doozy to fix, believe it or not.
Yes, yeah, we'll get to the stairs. But this is sort of where I kind of came in, that I was kind of tasked to kind of think about like, okay, what are some different sort of states that we want these zombies in and that sort of stuff. So the first look at that, these were the sort of AI states that we had. So there you've got a zombie sort of starts in an alert. This is them just chilling or patrolling about. And then if they start to sense something, they're getting some visual data, they're getting some noise data, they move into suspicious, where they kind of like look around and they're like, who? What? I think I saw something. But they're not quite sure. And if they keep on getting sensory data, they'd move into searching, so that they'd walk over to the point that they'd heard or seen something and then look around that area. And if they keep on getting data, then they become alert. They know you're there and they're not happy about it. And they're going to tell you how unhappy they are. Yeah, this was a very iterative and collaborative process. Kind of start with like the broad strokes of like, this sort of behavior, and then you get into like the nitty gritty of like, what does a zombie do when they hear a noise from an area that they can't reach, things like that. And you're always finding little edge cases that or issues that you hadn't accounted for. Setting initial patrolling direction, small curbs on the ground messing up pathfinding, or what happens when pathfinding doesn't have a collider to kind of know where to end. Yeah, some of the most complex issues to solve happen in the most mundane parts of the world. As alluded to before, zombies and stairs are not friends. It's a strained relationship. It's needed a lot of counseling over the years. So if I had one bit of advice for developers, if you can not include stairs in your game, do.
That's tangible takeaway, actionable feedback number one. Avoid stairs.
Avoid stairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we were doing a grounded game set in Texas 1980s, and they had invented stairs by then, so we had to include them in the game. But this is sort of what we had leading up to the first playable demo that we showed off at PAX Australia in one of the years.
2023? Maybe? That sounds right.
Yeah. But it was sort of all hands on deck to kind of get something in. And it was sort of like, let's get something that works and that people can play and just kind of have a stake in the ground of like, this is our gameplay. We are a real game. But at the end of that, we did want to do some work on it. So we did do a major rework of the base system. As I said, we pushed really hard to get it out for PAX, but afterwards we had some slightly rushed development. Thankfully, the team was able to prioritize reworking the foundation of AI, so we're actually set up for the future. It's always the fear in game development that if you put in something that's less than ideal, you never get a chance to return and fix it. So it was really great to be able to come back to that. So we had many long meetings, talking with myself, Dwayne, the lead designer on the project, and Carl, a very passionate senior animator, talking about every situation we could think of for what a zombie could do. And afterwards, we sort of had a goal to work towards and be able to prioritize the changes we needed to get there. And we ended up with something that looked a bit like this.
Whoa. Big change.
Yeah, so Suspicious is gone. Screw that. It's out. So now we've got unalert, we've got searching, we've got frantic searching, aggro, and aggro searching. I'll talk a bit about these soon, but first off, what some of the issues that we saw. with the old system. Suspicious was confusing people. It was like it's something that looks right on paper that like, oh, like we're thinking, oh, the AI is like, it's sort of saw something, like it's not sure. It's like, oh, was something there? But when you played it and it stopped and it half saw you and then it walked forward and then it saw you without any sort of feedback, it was confusing. It was players weren't really sure what was going on, so we had to change it up. So some of the changes we had was being able to split up the sensor data to control which states it goes into. And that helps being able to create these different transitions. So now if you start an unalert, if you hear some noise, you go into searching. If you continue to hear noise or you hear one really loud noise, you go into frantic searching, like a gunshot, say. But the other sensors do not take you to these. So the zombie hasn't confirmed you're there, but they've heard something and they're going to check it out. Where the other sensors come in, sight, touch, and damage, they transition you to aggro. They're like, I know someone's here, and I'm not happy about it. Now, touch and damage, pretty much instant, but sight is a slow ramp up. And you see this a lot in a lot of stealth games. It's like it's that slow, like I'll talk a bit about the audio system later, but it's a ramp up into aggro and then a transition. It's a change that like they know I've seen this mother effer and I'm gonna go get them.
What a potty mouth you have today, Jay.
I'm inside the mind of the zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, this is sort of what we were working with to kind of create that, and I'll show a couple of other design slides that we made through this process. Kind of looking at the like trying to work out all the detail for a state. Look at searching. So talked again about triggered by noise. So we wanted to like it to be kind of consistent. Like this is how they go into searching. It's not from sight. It's not from damage. It's this. They walk towards the target slightly faster than they patrol. When you're thinking of movement speeds, you're not just thinking about the movement speeds relative to other states, but you're more importantly thinking about them relative to the player. So can the player still crouch walk, stealthily walk away from this, or do they have to stand up, walk, or do they even have to run? So it's all sort of relative to one another. And can the player even outrun this enemy, or is this just a guaranteed fight? So those are the sorts of things you're thinking about when you think about movement speed. And then you see this searching. We split into two different sections. One, it's seeking the target, and what's it going to do in all the different interactions while it's on its way there. If it meets a door, is it going to destroy it, or is it going to turn around? Is it going to go over a vaultable? Will it go off a ledge? And then once it reaches the target, this is sort of simulating searching around the area. Like they know, I heard something, but the player's gone. Okay, well, they should be around here somewhere. I'm going to search around that area. So that's what that's sort of simulating. And we kind of did this for every different state and trying to work out like, okay, searching, they're kind of chill, so they're not going to throw themselves off a ledge, but aggro, they know you're there. So they're going to, if they're seeking target aggro, they're going to yeet themselves off that ledge to get to you. Technical term. Yeah, so this is sort of the stuff that we looked at when we looked at searching. And one more slide on that, looking at the different sensory input, what does that do? So visual sensory input, it has no change to the behavior until it hits max. So they could be inside the vision cone, and it's slowly ramping up the transition of the background, but there is no change in the behavior. They haven't seen you yet. Noise, if there's a new larger noise, they'll go to that noise. And touch and damage, they transition to aggro. Yeah, so that's what we were kind of thinking about for each different state. But we still had some issues around communication. If you recall that what I showed before about the prototype, the AI used to have a little circle above their head, kind of telling you like, oh, they're alert, they're ramping up to something.
Right.
It worked. It did work, but it was not right for the final game. Like we didn't want to have just like floating UI over every enemy. Kind of took you out of the experience.
Right.
So we wanted to communicate it a different way, and audio was the main way that we sort of wanted to communicate it. So we did write out some ideas around that. Now, we had some funny acronyms. Thankfully, audio decided to not use them when they went to implement them. But yeah, so we've got different transition sounds, zombie kind of emoting sounds when they transition into particular states, and then different sounds while they're in those states. But more importantly, you could say we've got sort of we call it a pre-combat feedback system. Rolls off the tongue. But this is sort of this is pretty standard actually in a lot of stealth games. It's that rising tension music as you're about to be spotted. Now, if you're doing a game that just shows the sight cone, plenty of them do. Like Mark of the Ninja was a sight-on game that just sort of showed like where you're going to be sensed. But this one, like if you're not showing the sight cone, you've got to give some feedback. And if any of you have played The Last of Us, if you recall, they're kind of like the rising, the woo.
Oh yeah.
You know, as you're about to be spotted, kind of let you know like you need to change something. Like you're about to be spotted, you need to get into cover, or you need to kill this person or enemy, basically. And it helped a lot because before this, it felt really random when you were getting spotted and you kind of had no idea, am I in the side, am I not? It just felt pretty bad. So we've got that pre-combat feedback of building up. You've got the combat music of a sting sound as it ticks over, and quite tense music. And then after, if you've escaped, once the zombies drop down into aggro searching, it slowly kind of goes down of like, it's still tense. Like you could be discovered at any moment, but you may be safe for now.
I think this is so cool to see. I think as soon as you mentioned this in The Last of Us, I just finished playing The Last of Us 2 a couple of weeks ago before the second season of the show came out. It's a system that I feel like gamers everywhere understand without even noticing. So even for myself being like, wait, what are you talking about? And as soon as you made your wailing ghost sound, I was like, oh, you're so right. That's exactly what this is. And I didn't even draw that line. So to kind of see it, the curtain peeled back a little bit on this is so interesting to see. Because again, it's present without being disruptive. But it's so important to anything stealth related. You're right.
Absolutely. And it's not just for communication, right? Like you feel it, you know, you're like, oh, like I got to get out of here, you know, like you hear that sound and you're like, oh, I want to swear again.
I mean, you already broke the seal once. What are they going to do? That is not me encouraging you to do it more, but
not going to put me on another live stream, that's for sure.
I mean, whenever you'd like, you come on back.
Yeah. So those were some of the decisions that went into this sort of rework to kind of make it a bit more consistent, give us more control around what transitions, which senses went into which states. And yeah, just trying to make it a bit more readable, a bit more understandable for the player. And at the end of it, we sort of came up with something that looks a little like this. This is one of our little summoning circles for our demons. And I'm not going to go into the detail here because that's going to be a lot of what Sarah's going to be talking about later. But between every one of these transitions, we can put conditions on them and then deeper behavior amongst each of these states. So that's pretty much where we're up to now on the design side. But looking at the future, of course, our game isn't done yet. It's only in early access. A lot of our effort up until now has been on what we call sort of like the base zombie. We wanted to make sort of the bread and butter of our game feel good. And also a lot of work leading up to EA was making sure the AI of the humans was working right. Because you can kind of maybe like, oh, like that zombie did something weird, but it's a zombie. But when a human does something weird, you're like, that's not right. So we've been looking at a bunch of those as well. But looking forward, we haven't forgotten about our zombies. So we're still looking at a deeper behavior for them, We're looking at some new zombie types, but I can't really speak too much about that. And we'd really love for our human and NPCs and zombies to meet. Because, well, let's just work out what relationship they have when they come together. It's always kind of fun. I love that in The Last of Us when there was a human NPCs and zombies together, and you could kind of make them kind of come together and take each other out. It's always fun to watch, and I really want our players to be able to do that too.
I enjoy how delicately you're using meeting. They're meeting, but
they're
you're so delicate and elegant on that. But you've also dropped F-bombs, and you're just I love it. There's two sides to you, James. You got layers.
Yep. Yeah. So I can't give away too much because I think the marketing team will kill me. But exciting stuff on the way. So check out the game and stick along for the updates as they come. That's me.
Oh, and a thanks slide. We were gushing over your slides earlier. They're so awesome. We are continuing to put links to both the Steam page and to the official website for Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. Please check out both of those. We saw someone in the stream who was like, I've played the game. Oh, I didn't think to leave a Steam review. Those are very impactful for devs as well. So if you're hanging out here because you like this game, there's a very high likelihood that you should probably go to Steam and sing its praises because it does make a big difference for sure. I'm seeing some questions come through. I'm taking note of a couple of them. Please keep asking. We do have a dedicated Q&A session at the end, but what I do is I collect them throughout the stream. I compile them into a list. If we get to the end and we haven't covered them, that's when I will ask. If you wait till the end, there is a small chance that we don't get to your question anyway, so feel free to keep asking them. And with that, Sarah, I think we've set the stage for you to talk about zombie AI.
Great. Okay. I also have slides. Cool. Here we go. Yeah. So I am going to give an overview of the tech that makes up our zombie brains. This is like 3 years worth of work. So I am going to skim the surface of everything and not go too deep into any one thing because otherwise we will be here for days. But yeah, hey, Jackson, just interrupt me if you have any questions at all, because
Sounds
it's tricky when you've been working on something for a long time and you're really familiar with it. Sometimes you just use terms and you don't realize that everyone doesn't know what you mean.
Gotcha.
So yeah, please jump in. All right, let's go. Helps to click on the slide. There we go. Okay, so AI brain. Here's a beautiful flowchart for you. How it works is we have external great start. We have external stimuli, things like, sight, sound, touch, things coming from the player and from the world, and that enters the AI brain through the three different layers: the low level, which handles sensory information; the mid-level, which processes and organizes that information; and the high level, which makes decisions. And then that comes out in physical action, which is what the player sees. So I'm going to talk through each of these layers, starting with the low-level brain. So zombies have sensors to detect things going on in the world. We've got sight, noise, touch, and damage. Sight is just detected through doing a sphere cast to see if there's anything in front of me, and then doing a ray cast within that range to check if it's obstructed. Noise is just the position relative to the noise source. Touch, overlapping colliders, easy, and damage is detected from just internal character systems receiving damage for that character. And then we have memory. You sense the thing and you put it in a buffer. And the memories are just forgotten however many seconds after it was last sensed. So we can see here I've got a little inspector showing what's going on in the zombie's brain. We can see we've got memories for noise and touch and sight. We keep the position, the grounded position. So if it was, say I saw the zombie's head, the player's head, I sort of go down to the ground as well, so I can use that for pathfinding reasons. We see how fast it was going. We might be able to identify what faction it was. So I see the player, I know that they're a player. Cool. So that's the low level. It's just the little lizard brain. It's pretty simple. And next up is the mid-level brain. So stimulus entity tracking. This is where we group memories by what we perceive to be the source of them. And that's based on the position and time of the stimulus. For example, if I wish I had some action figures actually so I could show you, but if I'm a zombie here, I see the player here, and then the player also like shoots a gun making a noise. I see that it's here and that the noise came from here and they happened about the same time. So I group those things together for targeting reasons, essentially. And then also, if I've been able to identify it, for example, through sight, and I see the player and I lose track of them, I see them again, I know that it's the same thing, which means you can kind of hold a grudge against them and still be mad. Yeah, so here's a stimulus entity in the inspector. We can see all sorts of stuff, the most recent position, the most recent velocity when we last sensed them, and the faction, and some other stuff, which I'll talk about soon. Triage. This is sort of scoring each memory to determine like how important it is. And how much, like say, how much, in a zombie's case, how much we should be trying to attack this thing, really. So the scores depend on various factors. There is the type of stimulus. So a damage will be weighted higher than a noise stimulus, because if someone punched you in the face, that's a bit more of an urgent thing to deal with. The time since it was sensed, so newer things are more important than older things. The distance the stimulus was from the AI, so we're more interested in things closer to us. And also the source faction, if we have it, of the stimulus, so we can basically prioritize attacking the player faction. And stimulus entities have the scores of all of the active associated memories summed up to give a score for the entity itself. So we can see here are some memories the zombie had at the time I took the screenshot. We've got a small noise, it's just a little 0.3 score, touch 50, a little bit bigger, sight 23, and damage, huge number at about 420. And then here's our entity for those memories. We've got this big old 500 score, and we keep the maxed all-time score as well for grudge keeping reasons. Moving on, alertness. So this is kind of like those states that James talked about before, searching, aggro, unalert. This kind of controls those transitions. So we sum all the scores, the triage scores in memory for each sensor. And if a score for a sensor is above a certain threshold, we increase a transition value that is a value between 0 and 1. So for example, an alert has transitions to searching, you can actually see it over here, searching, frantic searching, and aggro. So they all have the 0 to 1 value that can sort of go up and down and determine how close we are to changing states. So yeah, if we hit above a certain threshold, that value goes up. And if we go below it, we hold it for a little while and then start to decrease it. And when that alertness score hits 1, that says, all right, we're ready to change states. And like James mentioned, different sensors map to different states of alertness. So noise will send you to searching, but sight and damage will send you straight to aggro. And they also inform those non-diegetic audio stings. What was the pre-combat something?
Something. Yeah.
Can you give us that audio again, James? What it sounds like?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you very much.
Your game's haunted. That's how you know.
Cool. Yeah, so that's the alertness system. So there's another screenshot I took at runtime. Excuse my green play mode tint. That's just how I've always had it.
Preference.
So, yeah. So here's our transition values. These values, we can see we're in the unalert state, and this aggro transition has gotten way up to 0.9, and we're just about to transition into aggro here. And you can see here that is because we've got a little bit of sight stimulus going on. Cool. Targeting. This is basically just selecting the stimulus entity with the highest score sum for a specified sensor, depending on which alertness state we're in. So like if you're in aggro, you'll target ideally the whoever's in sight or damaging you. So yeah, and then the high level brain can use that to target, to move towards it, to punch it. So yeah, we use the first sensor in our prioritized list that has actually sensed something. So in aggro, we prioritize damage, then touch, then sight, then noise, I believe. Did I get that right, James?
It sounds right.
It sounds right. Great. And we also have temporary targets for things that are in the way of the main target. For example, a closed door. So you can see in this screenshot here, there's our lovely zombie. They're in aggro. And here's our player character. We've got a nice little red bullseye gizmo to show that they're the current target. And then this blue one, that's our obstacle target. They're smashing down this door so that they can get to their real target, which is the player. Cool, that's the mid-level. Now moving on to the high-level decision-making side. So to start with, we have the blackboard, which is kind of a fancy name for, it's not that fancy, a slightly fancy name for just a dictionary of like a key to any sort of value that it's kind of a sum of all of the knowledge that an AI has and also references to systems that it can use to enact action and get the information it needs to make decisions. Yeah, so we can see in the screenshot, I've got references to all of those systems I've talked about. We've got stuff like, oh, this is my next attack type that I'm going to do. What else have we got here? Not all of it is serializable, which shows up as these funny strings, but have I ever been aggro, for example? You get the idea. Next up is AI tasks. These are the building blocks of our AI behavior.
Sarah, if I can jump in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because it seems like a good spot for it. TGM 2674 says, can someone explain the difference between low level, mid level, and high level brain? Obviously, they manage different tasks, but is there like a nice kind of summary that you can put on the three different systems?
Yeah, I mean, if I go way back up to the top, so yeah, the low level is really, these aren't really actually hard like concepts. These are just how I've organized it in my mind. That the low level is just all about getting that information. It's the eyes and ears to sensing what is around you in the world. And the mid-level is just organizing that information, making it all make sense, picking what you might want to target, picking what is important that you have sensed. And then decision-making is like your behavior trees and stuff, just deciding what to do. Am I going to attack? Am I going to run away? Etc. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you going back to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more as well.
Oh, I've gone too far.
Spoilers.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. AI tasks. They're the building blocks of our AI behavior. These are just scriptable objects that are either actions or conditions. They have access to the blackboard, this big dictionary, and they pretty much just have an execute function that returns a task state enum value of either running, failure, or success. So here's an AI action. I'm really sorry if you're blinded by my light mode IDE. I know this is really controversial.
I was going to say, is this standard for you? Because Mr. Awesome in the YouTube chat said that they use both the editor and Visual Studio on light mode, and I'm sitting here like, no one does that. And yet, is this standard for you?
I use editor in dark mode, Unity editor in dark mode, but IDEs, because you're sitting in like an office with white walls and fluorescent lights, like it just feels better. It makes my eyes just work with it better. But maybe if I'm at home, I might use a dark mode.
Got it.
Anyway, I hope this doesn't offend anybody. But yeah. Cool. So AI action, it is an AI task that does a thing. So it might make the zombie attack or path to the target or equip a weapon. Well, that's more for humans. I don't think our zombies can use weapons yet.
Not yet. The dog can.
Not yet.
Like, let's not count out the zombies just yet, right?
Absolutely. And they can be instant or run over several frames. So I've got the code for our set melee input action. This is what is happening when a zombie comes and punches you in the face. So because it's a scriptable object, we can just serialize some fields, which will inform what the action does. So on initialize, we get our inputs from the blackboard, and on execute, we set the melee down input to be whatever we specified in this field. And we return success because we're done. The AI condition, it just checks if something is true or false, like do I have a target? Can I see the target? Am I currently aggro? Etc. And these can also be composed in or and conditions. So I could have an or condition that has a serialized array of other conditions, and that allows us to make more complex conditions. So here's the code for a condition AI task. We have, based on execute, we run this abstract evaluate method, and if it returns true, we return success, and if it returns false, we return failure. And here's an actual concrete example, checking if we have a target of a particular type. So we have a serialized field for what type we're checking for, and by type I mean like the temporary target or the main target. So on initialize, we get this targeting system from the blackboard, and on evaluate, we ask the targeting system, do I have a target of this type? And we return whether we do, and then that will return success or failure. Yeah, if you're not a programmer and that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. It's just a thing that is either true or false.
So I think what you've done here is excellent, because there are inevitably people watching, the audience that we have, the Unity community. I'm sure this is connecting with people being like, oh, dang, that's exactly how I should do this. Okay, great. And then there's people like me who don't have dev experience that are just like, But then the summary on the end, thank you for just explaining it in layman's terms, in Jackson's terms, as I like to say.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You did both. You did both. You hit both audiences, and I appreciate you.
Great. All right, let's keep moving. All right, now we're into the kind of juicy tool stuff. So the hierarchical finite state machine, it's a mouthful, and I trip over my words every time I say it. So that's why I've been very deliberate about that. So I'll just quickly explain what a state machine is, because I don't want to assume that everyone does know. A state machine is just like a flowchart, basically, where something can have a couple of states. So for example, a light switch, or it may be a light bulb, actually has states on and off. Imagine I've got a flowchart here. We've got on and off, and the states have transitions between them. So it can be in one state at a time. If we're in the off state, we have a transition that is like someone has flicked the light switch and I move into the on state. Someone flicks the light switch again, I go back into the off state. So hopefully that makes sense. A hierarchical state machine is a state machine where every state is itself a state machine. It's like a Russian nesting doll of state machines, basically, which allows us to make complex but organized behavior. So you can see here, James showed us this before, or something similar, this kind of state machine of all the different states that a zombie has of alertness. And each of these underneath it has a state machine with the behavior for that state. If we didn't have this hierarchical system, this would be huge and complex and horrible to work with and debug. So instead, we can see here, I've taken this at runtime, and we have some nice runtime highlighting to help with debugging. So this aggro state is highlighted. There was a zombie in aggro that I'd clicked on at runtime when I took the screenshot. And underneath this is this state machine. And we can see that they're currently in this break obstacle state. So when we're in aggro, we've got different behavior for has a target in cover, the target's on a ladder and I can't reach them, and breaking the obstacle. And each of these itself has a state machine under it. So you can sort of see how that really helps with organization and making it easy to understand.
Before you move off the slide, since we're close to James, could you just real quick read that title to me? I just wanted to see something.
High-level brain, hierarchical finite state machine.
Okay, crush it. It is tough, though. It is tough. I get it. I'm not even going to try. So thank you for indulging me.
All right. So yeah, a little more on this. When a state is active, like the aggro state, the state machine inside of it will run. And a state, each state can run AI actions. So those the AI tasks that I showed you before. And it can run actions when the state starts, when it updates, when it stops, and when it is exited out of. So you can see here, we've clicked on the aggro state, and in our little inspector, it runs all of these actions on start. So it's setting the sprint input down. We're setting the alertness state to aggro. And then on exit, we release the sprint input, do some other stuff. And then we also have transitions between those states, and those use the AI conditions. So we can see here I've clicked on this transition from aggro searching to aggro. And the condition we have here is that the aggro transition is ready. So our alertness system transition from aggro searching to aggro has hit 1. And also the target isn't dead. It's, there's no point getting mad when you've already killed them. Cool. And next up is Behaviour Tree. This is a pretty widely used structure in game dev. So this uses the exact same AI actions and AI conditions that the state machine does. Like they're really just these Lego blocks that make up everything. And you can, if you have made something that you're using in your state machine, you can use the exact same thing in a behavior tree, which is really awesome. And it has, you know, all the other standard behavior tree nodes like selector, sequence, repeat, etc. If you don't know what that means, that's absolutely fine as well. And running a behavior tree is itself an AI task that we can execute from the state machine or even another behavior tree, which means we've just got these modular like blocks of behavior that we can reuse all over the place, which is really helpful. So the one that I've got a screenshot of here is the sort of a high level behavior tree for a zombie attack. So here we have a sequence node, which is a node that runs a series of other nodes in order from left to right. So in a sequence, we will turn towards our target. If we don't have an attack selected, then we run our select attack behavior tree, which will pick an attack depending on all sorts of circumstances. James, do you know off the top of your head how we choose the attack?
It's to do with how recently you've grabbed, if you're in a position that you can grab, how many friends are around you, lots of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the two attacks that zombies currently have are a grab and just the standard melee attack. Cool. And then after we've selected our attack, we tell the blackboard, all right, we've selected the attack, and then we run a selector node, which is like a sort of if else. We will run through all of its children until one of them returns success. So selector node, if our next attack type is a grab, then we run this grab behavior tree. And if it was a melee, then we run our melee behavior tree. Cool. That is the high level brain. I do want to talk a little bit about the physical action side of things because I think it's quite interesting. So AI in our game have a set of inputs exactly the same as what the player has. So whereas for the player, it is coming from their controller or their keyboard, for an AI, it's coming from the behavior trees and state machines. So you can see here, here's a screenshot of all of the inputs that an AI has. We've got horizontal, which is like, you know, your stick on your controller, whether they're sneaking, not that our zombies sneak, but that would actually be really cool and scary. We should totally look at that. Whether they're sprinting, jumping, dodging, all that stuff. And complex input sequences also have their own behavior trees run by the pathfinding system. This is mostly relevant to humans for things like climbing ladders and doing jumps and all that stuff. And I want to talk as well about some other systems that kind of create a framework for all of this stuff to work, particularly at the high level. So pathfinding. Unity has the nav mesh tech, which is great, but we wanted a bespoke pathfinding web for our 2.5D environment because it's really important that our characters stay on like an exact Z position, basically. So yeah, we've created this. So the pathfinding web is made up of nodes, which are these spheres you can see in the gizmos, and connections between them. The node generators are set up on prefabs that are relevant to pathfinding, like doors and stairs. And then at edit time, design just has to push a button and it automatically generates. There might be a little hand placing of nodes, particularly outside if there's like a bumpy landscape. But hopefully, James, would you say it's reasonably easy to use?
Yeah, I mean, I've only done a little bit of level design, but some of the work done by a certain Sam and Mason, tech member on our team, who made a really great level design tool that really can be kind of put together like little blocks, and a lot of it is sort of done for us. Yeah, which is really great. Make it designer proof.
Exactly. Well, we still have issues sometimes, but we do our best. Cool. So the AI will generate a path from where they are to the target position. And if you have studied computer science, it's an A-star algorithm. If you haven't, don't worry, it's fine. It's just a little tidbit for the nerds at home. So yeah, they generate this path from where they are to the target position, and they have like a list of connections basically, and they keep moving to the node at the end of the next connection in the path until they arrive at the goal. The connections between nodes have flags indicating what type of traversal that connection represents. So for example, a ladder has a connection going up it, and it will be marked as ladder up, ladder down, because zombies should not be able to climb ladders. They do not have the upper body strength for it, unfortunately. But well, fortunately for the player, it's a little way to safety. But we can see here's all of our flags. So we've got jumps, ladders, ledges, window hangs, etc. And nodes and connections can also have obstacles, which can sort of change at runtime as well. So things like doors and ledges and vaults. And so while the traversal flags on connections are sort of inherent to a character, like a zombie can never climb a ladder, the obstacles are a bit more like something you can decide to traverse. So for example, when a zombie is just unalert and they're patrolling, they'll just patrol between whatever two doors are around them. But if they're trying to chase after the player and there's a door in the way, they can path past that door by breaking it down. And also, if they're just patrolling, we don't want them to go yeeting themselves off of ledges, as James put it. But if they are aggro, they're supposed to be pretty relentless, and they will throw themselves off of a roof to get to you. We do actually use the nav mesh though. So zombies who start in the background, because being a 2.5D game, that's the 0.5. We've got our zombies off in the background, and even sometimes in the front that can, if you make enough noise, come and get you. So they use the nav mesh to navigate to basically the closest point on the pathfinding web, and then from there they stick with that. We also use pathfinding for noise to kind of simulate it moving semi-realistically through the world. Like, we don't want noise to just go directly through like an upstairs floor and have the zombie hear you like they're in the same room as you. So it can travel, round corners, upstairs, etc. And it also means that our pathfinding nodes can have modifiers for the noise. So for example, a door should really dampen noise. You can see here on the gizmos, we've got this 0.5 multiplier, meaning that it's halving the noise that goes through it. Whereas this is a door here that is open and it has no modifier on it. And the noise does also gradually dampen on its own, just simply through traveling a distance as well. Queuing, this is how our zombies arrange themselves around whatever it is that they're attacking. So any sort of attack target, something that can be queued around, has a queue join area that is generated along the pathfinding web. So you can see we've got a gizmo for this lovely green rectangle. This is the queue join area. So once an AI enters that area, they are assigned a slot, which is these lovely little spheres, and they move to that position. Different slots, depending on how close they are to the target, can allow different kinds of attack. So these green ones are attack slots, and the yellow ones are just stand there and wiggle. And also they can change what attacks they allow depending on the size of the queue. So for a larger queue where there's a lot more zombies around you, we want more zombies attacking, so it feels a lot more dangerous. And also as the queue grows, the distance between slots compresses so that more zombies actually are in range to hit the player. Because if you get into this situation, it's kind of to just let you die quicker, to be honest. This is a very bad time right here.
It's a mercy moment.
Yeah. Target sharing, this is like a special zombie to zombie noise stimulus. If you've played the game, you've probably experienced a zombie being alerted and screaming, and it's a really terrifying moment, and that alerts all of their friends. So you can see in this GIF, this big lovely orange sphere waking up everybody, and they're all coming to get you, and it's really scary.
That's intimidating.
Yeah. So it's if they start doing that, you want to hit them right away so they don't. But yeah, it attaches what we call a command target to the noise stimulus that the other zombies are going to hear. So they're kind of sort of saying like, hey, this guy over here, come get him. So the zombies just know exactly where to go to attack the player. Last thing I think is territory. This is more relevant for our human AI. This is where we mark sectors of the pathfinding web as essentially belonging to a certain faction. So in this screenshot here, we've got a level where we've got these magenta bits of the pathfinding web, because this is a human shelter. There are sometimes you can go into a level and there are people living there and they're like, hey, get out, this is my house. So each AI keeps a 0 to 1 value for how tolerated a particular character is within their territory. So if you just walk in the door, they'll be like, who are you? Can you please leave? But if they are in the middle of their house and you walk up right behind them, they will be a bit more freaked out. So yeah, that value increases at a rate depending on how deep you are within their territory, and also because it rises up more slowly depending on where you are. It allows time for them to kind of warn you, like, hey, I want you to leave, please. And when that value hits 1, that's when they can start attacking. Cool. So I really quickly just want to share some other talks and videos that have been very informative to how we've developed the AI tech, because I would just feel like such a jerk if I didn't. There's this great GDC talk from 2014, a long time ago, but still really relevant, about Splinter Cell Blacklist AI, and that taught us about using like a pathfinding web type thing to simulate noise traveling through space. This one from 2017, it taught us about the hierarchical finite state machine and running behavior trees from it. And the Kiwi Coder on YouTube has a really great tutorial about making a behavior tree editor in Unity. We took that pretty much wholesale, and it also informed how we made the hierarchical finite state machine editor. And that is it for my slides.
Dang, Sarah bringing homework, it sounds the opposite, but like bringing follow-up materials for people to learn even further. So that's incredible. I think that might be the first time we've had that on one of the streams in the time that I've been here. So that is very, very cool. Again, you guys are able to head back to that slide. We might also go as far as finding those links and putting them in the description of the VOD as well. So we might make it just that much easier for people to hop in and grab those. So thank you very much for doing that.
For sure.
But Sarah, firstly, again, thank you for showing all of that. Incredibly cool to see how zombies think, and even, you know, a couple steps beyond that with some of how the humans think in the last couple slides there. But I believe you wanted to show us some other stuff in Editor as well, and I want to make sure that we have time for that. So we'll keep rolling on here.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show some of our tools. I've got a nice layout set up already, which, it doesn't want to work. Oh, it's thinking.
That's okay.
There we go. So let me just make a new one. And I might have to scroll all the way to the bottom. Here we go. And so let's make a new one called Unity Live Stream. Boop. Cool. So we've got this beautiful empty canvas to use. Right click, make a new state. Let's, I don't know. What do you think, James? What kind of behavior should we make today?
Chillin'.
Chillin'? All right, let's have a chillin' and one for not chillin'. Awesome. And we can see these little ports at the top and bottom. We use those to make transitions. Nice and easy. So if I click on this chillin' state, I can write a little description. I'm just hanging out. And that shows up on this node. It makes it easy to kind of take notes and explain what's going on for reference later. And maybe on start, what do I want to do? Let's make this a bit bigger. I don't know. What should we do on start, James? Not equipping a knife because we're chilling.
Well, yeah.
These are just all of our actions. Let's just wait. You're chilling. You just wait. And it's not showing up for some reason. Oh, I know why. It's because it's a task that needs to be an update. Like I said, you've got instant ones and simulated ones. If it's stimulated, it goes an update. Wait. Let's wait for like 5 seconds. Sweet. And not chilling. That's when we equip the knife.
Equip the knife. Yeah, get it.
Yeah. Cool. Now we've got our 2 states, and we can click on our transitions and set something up. So maybe if we're going from chillin' to not chillin', it's because we are ready to go into aggro. So let's click this alertness transition ready, and then from not chillin' back to chillin', we'll do the same thing. For going ready to go into unalert. Cool, and it's hierarchical, like I said. So if I double click, we've got a brand new state machine to play with. So I'm chilling, and maybe I'm chilling by the pool, and maybe I'm chilling on the PS5, and we can have transitions between these, and we set that up, and we can also make a like reuse another state machine. Like it's pretty modular, so I can just pick any other state machine. Let's see, what would be a good flavor idle? I don't know what that is, but that sounds chill, and we can go into that like any other state. And we can also make a behavior tree. Let's actually, I'll just let's see what would be a behavior tree that we could run when we're playing the PS5. Let's see. We'll just we'll update our target because we might be playing a shooter. And then if I click on this, it's going to open that behavior tree. And actually, if I click on this, it's going to open the state machine. You can see this is our actual dormant one. We're snoozing. I remember when James was first like onboarding onto the like these AI tools, I sort of went through every state and I wrote notes on it, like for his benefit, thinking, he'd delete them later or change them. And
I love
it's just
them.
exactly the
them.
same. Yeah. So that's the state machine editor. There's also there's some other stuff I'll show you at runtime, but I'll do this first. I would really like to change the editor for these menus because they're getting big. It used to be we only had like 3 state machines back in the day when I made these, and now there's a bit more. So let's make a behavior tree. What should I call this one, James?
Shooting folks.
Shooting folks. Perfect. Cool. So let's see. What are we going to do? We're going to maybe make a let's make a sequence. We do the same thing. We just drag from these ports to connect stuff. Let's make an action. So because it's a sequence node, it's just going to run everything under it left to right. So what do we do first? What are we doing? We're shooting. So let's equip a ranged item. That's a gun, whatever gun we have equipped. And then I don't know if we have an action for shoot input yet because our AI doesn't actually know how to use guns yet, I think.
It pretends. It's just doing its
best.
Yeah.
Fire. Do we have? No, I guess we don't. I guess they can pistol whip you.
Pistol whip.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we can you make some conditions. And maybe, if we're feeling maybe if we're aggro, then we can maybe yell as well. Do a bark. That's what we call the little speech bubbles. Let's do this one. They're probably yelling something angry there. So that's kind of the idea of the tools. How would you rate the tools, James? Do you like using them?
Great. Yeah, it's really fun to use. I can't believe how simple it is actually to use.
Even a designer can do it.
Even a simple designer like myself. Sarah set up a great system, and thank you.
Shout out again to the Kiwi coder. Like you can just make this exact same setup following his tutorial. Like we've modified it like slightly, but at the base of it, it's the same. It's a really great tutorial.
That's cool to hear.
Cool. All right. Let me just change up my layout here. Let's actually, I'll tell you what, I'll bring that back and I'm just going to shift it down a bit. I am going to let's get it out of the way. I'm just going to run a level here. Make this a little bigger. There we go. Just check. All right. I'm going to run the record store level. This is kind of my go-to for testing because it was one of the earliest levels we had, and it was one of the few levels that had like a decent number of zombies, but not too many. It's not too big. Like I can see them all on screen at once. So I do like this one for testing.
I'm just
wait for this to load.
I'm just excited to see everything like behind the scenes. It's
peek
so
behind
rare.
the curtain. Yeah,
A little peek behind the curtain, seeing a little bit of how the magic happens.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just give it a second.
That's okay.
This computer isn't warmed up so much to using the editor, so it might
it's also the other side. It's like it's a universal truth that as soon as you're trying to show something on a live stream, that's the moment it's like, give me a sec, and we're like, great, this takes no time every other moment, but that's fine.
It's very true. Now, here it goes.
There we go.
We've got the blue screen. It's the
start.
Blue screen of life. Actually, it means it's getting there. On my PC, it's like 5 seconds.
Right. Throwing shade at the video team now on their PCs.
We're zoomed in for some reason. Okay, here we go. Let's open the scene view here. In a second. It's gonna really take its time. Here we go. Okay. Nope. No, it's still thinking. Thinking.
You're doing great there, PC. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, little guy.
You're doing your best.
Hasn't had its coffee yet for the day.
We did wake it up early. That's on me.
Okay, here we go. Nope. Almost. Oh, no, it zoomed out too far.
Wow.
But there's the world.
That's a beautiful world.
Here we go. Now we're cooking. So here are all of our zombies. We can see our pathfinding web. We can see our nav mesh. Let us click on this gentleman. So you can see he's in this patrol state. If I just bring this up, let's hop in. I've got this button which is really handy, jump to deepest active state instead of having to double click into everything.
Super handy, super
I can just hit that and it'll take me to just the deepest active state. So if I go back out, we're in this unalert patrol state, and this is running the zombie patrol behavior tree.
Cool.
So let's make this guy a bit bigger. So here it is, and we can see in real time the nodes highlighting to show what we're doing. So if I zoom out a little bit. So the patrol behavior, what they do is they generate some parameters of like, what direction am I going in? How far should I patrol? And once they've done that, they wait a second. So if we just keep an eye on those nodes and on the zombie, yeah, we can see it. It's moving, and then it will do a little wait. Just let it wait. Or it reaches the end of the room and it waits. Yeah, that's that stuff. I can also show you, get that out of the way. Let's bring up the blackboard. Make this a little bigger. So here we have the blackboard. This is something else we can look at in real time. So I've still got this one selected. Actually, I might change it to this one because they're in a handy spot. And let me switch over to the game, which is again scaled for some reason. And I'm going to cheat. I'm going to make myself immortal so I don't die while I'm showing you.
Can I get access to that as well for when I play later?
I'm afraid not. Oh shit, they're gonna do the stream. Oh, I didn't mean to swear. I'm so sorry.
That's right. We're keeping a scoreboard. You guys are up to 2 now.
One of us.
You guys are setting records, actually.
I can't show this video to my parents now. So if I open up this character's sensory system, we can look at all their memories. So here's some noise. This will be the player character's footsteps, probably. Sight. We've got a decent score there because we can see them. They're in our sight cone. And we can open that up to see more information about it. Do that for all of them, what position it was at, the faction. More noise, probably a different footstep. Touch, except we've just kind of run into them. And damage, of course, has that nice big juicy score. And we can open our stimulus entity tracking. This is its understanding of the player, and it's got like all of these sums for like all the sort of triage scores for each different sensor, position, all that information. I showed you this in the slides, so I don't need to show you too much. Alertness system, it's already in aggro, so not a lot will be going on in here. But you know, here we can see all of those 0 to 1 values to figure out how close they are to changing. Yeah, that's probably enough of that. I think that's it for what I had to show you.
You did incredibly well. And thank you to you both, as well as your PC, for accommodating us. We do have a little bit of time where I mean, we're technically past time, but we got one more thing that we want to do here. So we're going to open up this giveaway, and then we'll take a couple of community Q&A. We'll hopefully wrap up in just a few minutes here. So let me make sure that I've got everything set up the way that I want to. And it looks like we are indeed open. So the giveaway is only happening on Twitch. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. But if you head over to twitch.tv/unity and type !giveaway in chat, it'll take you little to no time at all. You might have to make an account. I think it'll take you 30 seconds. You are entered into our giveaway for 1 of 5 copies of Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. We're seeing a couple of these entries come through right now. And also, am I going to open my own account on my phone and also enter the giveaway? Maybe. Actually, I won't, because people will yell at me if I do that. If you win the giveaway, we'll go through and we'll pull all of the names. If you win, keep an eye on your Twitch DMs, as we will be sending you a message to get you the codes. So that's how we're going to do that. And while we leave that open for everybody who's currently entering, we'll pull a couple of questions. I do want to shout out the PikPok team, who's been in the Twitch and YouTube chat answering a number of questions. So we actually were able to cross off quite a few of them here. But Mr. Jordan on the Twitch side earlier asked if there are if there are several kinds of zombies, how do you handle handle the implementation of their different logic? Is it just another state machine?
Essentially, yeah. We have our sort of spawn data that we put in our spawning system, and different spawn definitions, so like a sleeping zombie versus a bread and butter zombie. And we can put any sort of data we want associated with that, including like a state machine, or I don't know, stuff like how fast they can move. Yeah.
There we go. Very nice. Easily. I know you guys kind of touched on it. There might not be a ton of different, but more zombies to be added. So if you guys need ideas, there were quite a few that were flying by in chat as you guys touched on it. I know there was also recommendations for different maps. So we really group thinked it here within the community while the stream was running. Bringing in another question from Silent Doll, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, but how do you anticipate this kind of approach for AI changing in the near future with AI LLMs as they grow? Do you think that this will kind of remain the way that you continue to do things? Do you anticipate kind of adapting and changing?
I don't anticipate that for this project. The thing with LLMs is they can create some really interesting and convincing stuff. They aren't necessarily good at logic and consistency. And also, we've already invested a whole lot of time into these tools, and they're working well for us. And it means that the designer has, total control over every edge case that can happen. Whether that changes in the distant future, like for a different game, I really don't know. I'm not an expert, but it'll be interesting to see. I just hope it doesn't take my job away.
I hope that too, Sarah. I think we're all a little worried. I don't think you're alone. I think we're all a little bit worried, but I feel like we're at a pace of accelerated transition. It's just like things keep changing faster than ever. So who knows what the future will hold? One of my favorite questions from the stream from Twitch side here, Heavy Metal Sasquatch says, there's so much that you can do with zombies. Zombies pursuit with the grounded of realism or the wild special zombie worlds. Even outside of this game, is there a favorite zombie representation from either of you? So for me, like boomers, always fun. Nothing like shooting a zombie and having it explode. Is there any that stand out for you? Special types, I suppose, or just really wonderfully done standard zombies.
Minecraft zombie.
Whoa. Yeah.
No, I really like clickers from The Last of Us. It just really switches up the gameplay a lot, keeps things spicy, and they also look really cool.
Yeah, clickers is a great one. I mean, all the stuff that The Last of Us had was really good. But you did remind me, I played so much of Live 4 Dead when I was in high school. And I feel like the one that it's not that engaging in gameplay, but like the vibes of the witch.
I thought that's where you were going with it.
It's like everyone's like, do not mess with her. Like she's there. Don't go close. Don't touch it like a car. And it's just like even if you don't set her off, it's like the tension of it. Yeah,
I like that answer a lot. The witches ratchets up tension in a way that isn't part of the zombie horde. It's just kind of like a standalone off to the side that really shifts. It changes everything, which is cool. The last question I have here, and then we'll resolve the giveaway, comes from the Bull on the YouTube side. Thank you for being here. The Bull says, what is the funniest bug that you've run into? Any fun zombies not working the way they're meant to moments that you can share?
It all blurs together. There's so many.
Yeah.
Man, there was early on when I was first setting it up. I just set a number wrong, and instead of running towards the player to attack you, they would just run away. It's pretty funny. But there's also it's not really a bug; it's an editor-only thing. If your code recompiles while you're in play mode, what will often happen is the torsos of the characters will start spinning around their hips, and I find it really funny every single time.
Absolutely excellent. I do want to bring in one last question because they asked just as we were wrapping up here, but Kelvin Rosa on the Twitch side says, do you think that the game would be too hard if zombies could detect players by smell? If you added that element.
It's something we've talked about, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Say no more. That was perfect.
We already have, it's not smell, but we have the idea of like ambient noise, like breathing noise that the player makes, where if you stay too long near a zombie, then they'll eventually get a sense that you're there. It's not exactly smell, but it's kind of a similar vibe.
You could imagine it's smell. It's
like
an
definitely
aura around the player.
Yeah, definitely players thought that it was smell.
Okay.
It's only smell because we wrote noise, but if we change the name of the background, it could be smell.
That's fun. Well, thank you guys so very much for answering our community questions. And thank you, Unity community, for asking very insightful, very thought-provoking questions, not just now, but throughout the entirety of the stream. I really appreciate it. As we're about to resolve this giveaway, one last moment, if you type !giveaway in the Twitch chat, you will be entered for a chance to win a copy of Into the Dead, Our Darkest Day. We will be drawing in just a moment here. Jack, the producer, did say that was a spot-on Minecraft zombie noise from earlier. So there you go. There you go. And with that, we are going to close up entries here, and we are going to pull 5 winners. I will try to read all of the screen names. It's not always easy. And then again, I will be reaching out to the winners in the next, give me like 48 hours to make sure that I get all my ducks in a row, but we'll make sure to get all the winners, their codes and DMs there. So the first winner is question asker from earlier, TGM2674. Congratulations. We've also got Only Kinda Sorta. And that is their name, not me queuing up to say it. Only Kinda Sorta. Congratulations. We've got Nateens. Nateens, thank you for being here. Congratulations to you as well. We've also got OG Mr. Awesome, I believe, coming over from YouTube to Twitch. So I'm glad you made the trip. And last but not least, we've got the legend, Heavy Metal Sasquatch, with a great question as well. So congratulations to each of you. We, again, will be reaching out with DMs on Twitch. Make sure that your settings are enabled to allow DMs from strangers. I know it sounds weird and it's counterintuitive to traditional advice, but I need to be able to send you a message. And if I can't, I will keep the key myself. So that's how we're going to operate. I do want to extend a massive thank you, Sarah, James, to you both. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that, especially with time zones being on opposite sides of the world, to produce this stream was a bit of a challenge on all sides. So thank you so much for spending the time with us here today, sharing your knowledge, your experience, your insight. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for making it easy and chill instead of terrifying and sweaty like I was worried it would be.
Well, I'm glad. I hope that you guys had a little bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. And I also want to extend a thank you to you in the Unity community for asking thought-provoking questions, for being active participants, for being here for this stream, even though it was at a relatively unorthodox time in the day. We are so grateful. Again, we are putting out content every Thursday and most Tuesdays for the next few months. We've got a lot of very exciting things coming up for you, including next week's stream on Thursday. No stream on Tuesday. On Thursday, we will be going through multiplayer systems in 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 1 day. That is on Thursday, May the 22nd at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. GMT. Please go and check out that event. It is already live on YouTube, and I will be putting a link for you in the chat there. That is Clocked and Loaded, which is a series named by the community. It will be our second entry, and it will, again, show you how you should adjust your approach based on how much time you have to make these systems. Thank you so very much for being here, Unity community. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you to everyone who helped put this episode together. Harriet on the PikPok team, everyone else over on the PikPok team. This was like an army and everyone was super willing and eager to help. So I'm so grateful. Again, a shout out to Jack, the producer, for running things behind the scenes. Until I see you all again, Unity community, my name is Jackson, and have a great rest of your day.